So listen up. Okay. Hello, friends, and welcome. We are at day 11 of the Drenched in Wonder Cannabis Conversations series. Day 11 of 25, for now at least. A big thank you for being here, as always, friends, and welcome to any new subscribers who are tuning in for the first time. So, for today, afternoon adventuring. This is one of the most enjoyable ways that I have found to experience the effects of cannabis. Now, before I go any further, as always, this is an experience that is highly enjoyable without cannabis as well. But there is this magic combination that I found quite quickly on my cannabis journey, which is the afternoon and this gradual changing of the sky and of the feel as it turns into golden hour and eventually sunset. This with a carefully selected music playlist and a constant flow of movement, which for the most part is just walking, and the gentle lift provided by cannabis. This became a daily occurrence for me, something that I just looked forward to with such excitement. And just this beautiful way to connect in so many ways, to connect to the music, to the natural world, to my own thoughts, to the joy of solitude. It was and is, to this day, probably the most enjoyable, soul-nourishing experience that I've ever had. And yes, it really is as simple as getting a little high and taking a long sunset stroll at golden hour with some beautiful music playing and a camera at my side. And even though I'm the same person out there, of course, it did feel a little bit like it was this separate version of myself. By that point in the day, I've done some work. I've kind of cleared through some of the necessaries and tried to figure out some stuff of whatever it is I'm working on. And this was the reward. I would take these long, glorious sunset strolls, and I would take them alone. Now, solitude for me became such an important factor when experiencing cannabis. As I spoke about in the previous episode, when I was talking about coming out as a cannabis user, I felt a real need to keep my cannabis use secret at the time, even from my partner. And so afternoon adventuring became this kind of covert, secret mission. And there was actually an element of fun in that. I quite enjoyed that no one knew what I was really up to. Just experiencing the flow of the music, the flow of the movement, some days the path would lead right, some days left. I just kind of gut feel it. And it's not that I was necessarily aiming for anywhere in particular. I was just exploring and seeing where the road took me. Anyone who enjoys an afternoon walk, or, that feeling of standing up after a long time sitting down, like when we get off the plane, we're all just like, oh, thank goodness we can move again. It's the joy of movement, right? All these things combined in this just glorious package that I call afternoon adventuring. And as a natural introvert and someone who really just appreciates and enjoys solitude, it's an actual heavenly experience for me, one that I still continue to this day. And the seemingly mundane, the little details that I might overlook or even kind of take for granted, like just the beauty of nature and the beauty of the clouds in the sky and the way that the sun hits them. And, we can appreciate these things without cannabis, but with it, all these details became enhanced and even more beautiful. And it led to these moments of excitement and insight and creativity as well. It's not a proper afternoon adventure unless I've got my notebook with me and my camera at my side. I've gone through 4 of these Moleskine notebooks so far, and as you can see, I've gone through and actually kind of tagged the notes that I wrote that kind of resonated with me. All the different thoughts, the different ideas that came about just by way of this magical combination. Not all of them are brilliant, of course, though they all seemed so at the time. And not all of them were written down. Like what I often found was that I needed to speak into a voice recorder because, then I could keep walking. Then I could capture thoughts while on the go. So these notebooks are only kind of scratching the surface of what I've actually captured on afternoon adventures. And then, of course, there's the photographs. While afternoon adventuring and while in this state, you notice things. And that feeling when you're like, oh God, I wish I had my camera. That happens a lot while afternoon adventuring. And I realized that I could capture this on my phone, and very often do, but to capture this moment as closely and as truthfully as I could, it meant that I had to carry my camera with me wherever I went, basically. And I did. And I've taken thousands of photographs while afternoon adventuring. And I include a small selection of favorites in the book. And this is why Drenched in Wonder includes photography. It's an important side to show of the afternoon adventuring process. Again, I could experience all of this without cannabis, but cannabis deepens our connection to so many things, to nature, to ourselves, to just the moment that we're existing in. And as a result, the experience with cannabis is more profound and more exciting and more just nourishing. It has greater depth, and as a result, you extract more from it. Afternoon adventuring began as a way to connect with nature, but then I learned to explore further. I would afternoon adventure through shopping centres, detouring via my local supermarket while afternoon adventuring. Seems like a bizarre thing to do, but how fascinating that was. Then afternoon adventuring in different cities and experiencing these different places on this next level. It became my way to experience solo travel. San Francisco, Portland, Oregon, New York City, Paris, Amsterdam, Zurich, London. So long as I had my camera with me and a voice recorder and a notebook and my carefully selected music playlist, I've just got everything I need. I'm going to show you something briefly. This is once again a visual cue, but this is the original Ariza Solo. This is my vaporizer, and this has been with me basically since I started. So 12 years now, still going strong. Very highly regarded in the world of vaporizers as I understand it, and it has traveled the world with me. A few other fun items. My water bottle, this has been with me since 2016. It's been dropped a few times and the design has come off, but we've seen some adventures together, this water bottle and I. And of course, my Canon 5D Mark III with the 24-70 Mark II L series lens. Every photograph that I include in Drenched in Wonder was taken with this camera. And what I realize, friends, is that it doesn't matter where in the world I'm afternoon adventuring. The sunset is just as beautiful. And it's this opportunity to finish the day with stillness and gratitude and this feeling of awe. I would walk home, a little tired perhaps, but very much just tuned in and feeling deeply connected to all the things. Like I definitively figured out one of the ways in which I want to spend my time for the rest of my life. Afternoon adventuring. So there you go, friends. There's a little insight into another of the ways in which I use cannabis to find joy and gratitude and meaning in my life. What about you? Are you an afternoon adventurer? What do you gravitate towards, under the influence or not? Thank you, friends, once again for joining me for this episode. Next episode, I'm going to share another story from the book. This time about the night that I went too far and the light suddenly turned to dark. Join me for it, friends. Until then, be safe, be smart. I'll see you soon.